pandemic continues to cause tremendous human and economic hardship here in the United States and around the world. All of us have a role to play in our nation's response to the pandemic. The Federal Reserve remains committed to using our tools to do what we can for as long as it takes to provide some relief and stability, to ensure that the recovery will be as strong as possible and to limit lasting damage to the economy. So these were the words echoed by Jerome Powell at his most recent press release. I myself feel very confident in his ability at the Federal Reserve to help guide us through this very difficult time. So in this video, I'm going to provide an economic outlook for 2020 according to the most recent Federal Reserve Board update regarding the status of our economy. But before I go into details, I want to say thank you to all my Joe-Dolls for your continued support. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on the notification bell. I'm posting valuable new content at least twice a week. Alright, so Powell said that he does not see inflation as a major issue at this time, as some of the markets are predicting. He stated, and I quote, "We see core inflation dropping to 1%. I do think for some time we're going to be struggling against disinflationary pressures rather than inflationary pressures. As the dollar has sold off more than 4% this month and gold has risen to new highs, traders have been betting that the central bank easing and the surge in U.S. debt will ultimately lead to inflation." Alright guys, so the Federal Reserve left interest rates near zero and Jerome Powell predicted a long road ahead as a recent spike in virus cases slows the momentum of our economic recovery. He stated, and I quote, "The path forward for the economy is extraordinarily uncertain and will depend in a large part on our success in keeping the virus in check." During his conference, he went on to say that more data is needed before drawing firm conclusions about the scope of our economic pullback, but noted that the debit and credit card spending were slowing and labor market indicators suggested that recent job gains might be weakening. More than 14 million people who held jobs in February are no longer employed, and he warned that it will take a while for workers in certain industries such as restaurants, hotels, and travel to find new jobs. I'm glad that he brought up this point, guys, because there are some out there that feel that people just don't want to go to work, that people are being lazy, and that people are trying to take advantage of the virus situation. This has been one of the main arguments used by some against the $600 federal weekly unemployment benefits, stating that it's a disincentive for people to work. Now, several recent studies have indicated that this is just simply not the case. Now, I've even had some of my subscribers on this channel comment saying that people just need to get off their butt and go find a job. Now, statements like this, in my opinion, show a lack of understanding regarding the magnitude of our current unemployment and economic situation. We have major corporations, small businesses that are going bankrupt and out of business. Many of these jobs are just not coming back, and that leaves millions of Americans negatively impacted and displaced. Now, Powell stated, and I quote, "There's probably going to be a long time where a large number of people are struggling to get back to work. The Fed was not even thinking about raising rates. The labor market rebound is going to take a while, and we're going to be there for all of that. There were no major additional actions or policy changes taken, but his comments really helped to put our current economic situation into perspective. I'm really hoping that our lawmakers, those in Congress, and our president take heed to what he is saying." Now, another valid point he made was that the unemployment rate declined in May and June, but at 11.1%, it remains far above its level before the outbreak and greater than the peak during the global financial crisis. The downturn has not fallen equally on all Americans and has hurt those that are least able to bear it. In particular, the rise in joblessness has been especially severe for lower wage workers, for women and African Americans and Hispanic. This reversal of economic fortune has upended many lives and has created great uncertainty about the future. Again, this crisis has highlighted the economic and racial disparities that exist within our country. The path forward will depend on policy actions taken at all levels of government to provide relief and to support the recovery for as long as needed. Again, guys, he's letting us know that a full recovery is just not going to be instant. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to require that all of our branches of government cooperate and get legislation passed for the people. Now, under Powell's leadership, the Federal Reserve response to the crisis has been guided by their mandate, which is to promote maximum employment and stable prices for the American people, as well as their responsibility to promote the stability of our overall financial system. Again, his comments underline the severity and challenges facing American workers, that more stimulus will be needed by Congress and the president, and that interest rates are going to be very low for an extended period, at least the next 2 to 3 years, making money very cheap to borrow at the moment. That being said, Joe, if you do happen to be in a good financial position in your life in terms of your employment and overall finances, now would be a great time to consider refinancing any high interest debt, any car loan, mortgage, even credit cards. I mean, guys, there are mortgage rates now that are under 3%. That's incredibly cheap to borrow, especially when you consider inflation. Remember, the dollar is worth more now than it will be in the future. So if you can lock in interest rates at a very low price, I would say do it while we're enjoying these record low rates. I mean, my heart goes out to all those who've been laid off, had their hours cut, furloughed, and are just struggling to get by at the moment to make ends meet. Also, we're on the verge of a major eviction crisis and possibly a foreclosure crisis if Congress does not reinstate the eviction moratorium protections and get help to renters and landlords. 2020 has been a rough year, Joe Dolls. I'm really hoping that 2021 brings us much more prosperity. So there you have it, guys, a 2020 economic outlook and an update from the Federal Reserve Board. If you found value in the video, please be sure to hit that like button. It goes a long way in helping to support and grow the channel. Please also share this video on all your social media platforms. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell as I'm posting valuable new content at least twice a week. You can also follow me on Instagram at whatjoe_knows. Thanks for watching, and until next time.